Bro Science Breakdown.
Fun fact: I'm an actual human with an actual life. If you believe that, allow me to thank you greatly. To everyone else, you. Just kidding. Or am I? Welcome to Bro Science Breakdown, where I discuss healthy living for my fellow young folks every Monday. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Arthur, an early high school grad who struggled with my self-image for a long time. I was eventually able to overcome my struggles, and I might be able to help you with yours as well. So, if you're around 18, then you've come to the right place. This is episode 9. Wait, damn, that many episodes? I mean, it doesn't sound like that many episodes in the grand scheme of things, but it still feels like I just posted my first 3 episodes yesterday. I guess time really does fly if you're having fun while being chased by a horde of deadlines. Then there are the distractions. I've been playing a lot of Minecraft lately, and despite it allowing my mind to take a break from my work, it sometimes bleeds into my work time. Ah well, at least I listened to an audiobook while doing so, making it at least time somewhat well spent. Anyways, last week I mentioned that I'll be putting bro science and actual science to the test. Unfortunate news for you waiting for that. I won't be talking about that in this episode. I know, call me a liar all you want. However, I promised that I'd take a week off to do only light training to get over a plateau that I have on bench. Seeing as I wanted to test with my body on the line, I can't really do that now. Here's what I'll be doing instead. Talking about myself. Yeah, that's right. I'll be talking about what's up in my life in terms of exercise, eating, habits, and a few other things I just want to yap about. If you want any more of these kinds of filler episodes, just give me the word. I'm always down to talk about myself more often. So I'm currently on a cut for the millionth time, and I'm actually doing a proper cut this time. To be honest, I've only been on 2 decently successful cuts in the past. Each time I didn't take my journey that seriously. I knew that cutting was mostly about calories in and calories out, and after calculating my calorie intake necessary to lose weight, I was off to the races. I kind of eyeballed the calories and protein in my food and just called it a day. Plus, I didn't eat cut-worthy foods like proper amounts of vegetables and skinless chicken. My diet looking back was only around 200 calories under my maintenance calorie threshold. Pretty crap to be honest. I can't believe that I allowed myself to be that lax about my diet. I mean, I'm no David Goggins, but at the same time, there should at least be a certain level to maintain when going on a cut. This time around, I'm pretty serious. I do allow myself to eat stuff like sweets here and there, though overall I'm consistently hitting my calorie and protein goals. My calorie goal is relatively easy for me to hit. Last time I checked, which was a while ago by the way, I weighed in at about 194.7 pounds. Call me a fat all you want, I almost have a 6-pack. Plus, I probably lost weight between then and now. Seeing as I usually work out around 5 times a week, that means I need about 3,000 calories a day to maintain weight. On the cut, however, I'm currently eating 2,300 calories every day, which is pretty manageable. I allow myself a maximum of 700 calories per meal, which gives me some pretty decent leeway for snacks in between meals. In the morning, I always have a small snack with coffee, as I tend to work out around 7:30ish. I eat 2 dates, which is around 100 calories, and keeps me satiated throughout my workout. That's probably the work of the fiber, while the sugars probably give me more energy. At least I think so, not too sure, because I don't really have sugar rushes. I then put a little bit of salt in my coffee, which allows me to work more optimally. I fully explained why I add salt in episode 5. Highly suggest listening to it, by the way. I cover the main supplements of the gym world in that episode. Anyways, when I return from the gym, I have a protein shake along with some other food. In the protein shake, I add a scoop of unflavored soy protein powder, a cup of skim milk, a banana, some broccoli, and 2 tablespoons of the PB Fit peanut butter powder. That comes up to about 350 calories and 44 grams of protein. To go with that, I either have 3 boiled eggs or a piece of toast with cream cheese. The eggs add 210 calories, while the toast adds about 150 calories. Well, every now and then, I change it up with some oatmeal. I cook up half a cup of dry oatmeal, watering it down pretty heavily to account for the powder I'll add in later. I then put in a scoop of the soy protein powder, 2 tablespoons of the PB Fit powder, and pour myself a glass of skim milk to go along with it. On the side, I have an orange or some other fruit just to get my fiber in. Along with the food, I take a scoop of creatine and 600 milligrams of ashwagandha. So in total, I eat between 550 and 650 calories in the morning, which keeps me pretty full until lunchtime. So when lunchtime rolls around, I become quite happy as that means more food for my fat. Now this is where my eating habits become less consistent. My other 2 meals are therefore as such. One I cook for myself, and one that my mom cooks for me. The meal that I cook is pretty simple. I have 200 grams of air-fried chicken breast, along with a cup of broccoli. I used to have 200 grams of rice with that, though I recently revisited the satiety index to see what I can change up in my diet. I found that the most satiating food, according to the index, was the boiled potato. So I switched my rice to mashed potatoes. 200 grams of rice has about 250 calories, while 200 grams of plain mashed potatoes has about 180 calories. And plus, seeing as mashed potatoes are 2 times more satiating than rice, it saves me on my calorie goals and feeling full so that I don't snack as much. The other meal is the one that my mom cooks. Well, it's mostly that my mom cooks, but sometimes one of my grandparents cooks, which is pretty fire, not gonna lie. I'm still cautious about how much I eat just to make sure I don't go over my calorie goal, but I don't measure with the scale. I mean, I would, but my mom already calls me obsessed with precisely measuring out how much I eat for breakfast and the meal I cook for myself. Ah well, I'll live, I guess. I estimate for the family cooked meal, I eat about 700 calories. Not too bad if I do say so myself. Gotta pat myself on the back for that one. Anyways, to just count calories of the meals and pre-workout snack, that all adds up to about, god damn, 1,830 calories? But I mean still, that's subject to human error, so I'll just give myself some leeway and make it 1,900. However, that's still pretty under my OG calorie goal. I made it that way so I can have a few snacks in between meals. You know, I really don't like snacking on a cut. I don't know, but I think that the idea of eating something outside of my pre-prepared plan is kind of like worrying in a way. However, as much as I don't like snacking, I don't like being without energy even more. The cut has made me rather tired as of late, and therefore unproductive, and snacking seems to be the best way for me to get some energy. I mean, I would drink coffee by itself, though it tends to make me more tired if I don't eat anything to go along with it. So oranges are one of my go-to snacks. On the blessed satiety index, they are one of the most satiating foods, let alone fruits. They have about 50 calories, making them the perfect snack in between meals. Plus, I've recently learned that I can trick my brain to make it fuller by cutting them into slices rather than just peeling the whole orange. Not gonna lie, I already knew this trick a while ago, but I kinda forgot it just like a lot of other things. Damn, my memory's horrible. Damn, what else do I eat? Like seriously, I'm forgetting what I eat. Oh, yeah. Sometimes there's a protein bar that I'd munch on that has about 150 calories, or maybe I'd even just straight up have some toast with some cream cheese. There's also this one Russian open-faced sandwich called buterbrod, and it's basically a piece of bread with some Russian mayo, sliced Russian sausage, and some vegetables like sliced cucumbers and tomatoes. I'd estimate that 2 of those have about 300 calories, which isn't bad at all. And by the way, Russian mayo is way better than American mayo. The Russian one has a completely different subtle flavor, unlike the American one with this yucky and disgusting texture. God damn, it's awful. Well, that's about it in terms of what I eat. Pretty simple, I know. Seeing as I'm planning on bulking soon, I think it's going to be a lot more challenging given how much I need to eat. If you're watching on YouTube, you might see me put a before and after picture of my physique if I'm up to it. I mean, the cut's not over, but they're still progress pictures nonetheless. The before picture was taken in November of last year, while the last one was taken last week. Now mind you, the second picture was without a pump. Despite the fact that I have a pretty decent physique considering how long I've been training for, I just want to see how far I can take the cut. Honestly, it's more out of curiosity than anything, and maybe even a little vanity. I've always wanted to have a six-pack, and I think it's the perfect opportunity for me to get one. And by the way, I have several ideas I'd like to share for future episodes, but they'll take quite some time to pull off. They're both challenges that last 1 month, and I'd like to talk about my experience with both. First is the one that I'm actively participating in right now, which is Cold Shower Month. Yeah, I know, creative name for it. Just as the name suggests, I'm taking a cold shower every day of April. At first it was a little difficult, but it's gotten easier as time passed. I mean, a lot of new things start off that way. But I won't go into too much detail about this, as like I said, it's for a future episode. You know, that reminds me, I used to regularly take cold showers. I normally washed up first thing in the morning, which made it a lot easier for me to incorporate. It basically forced me to confront my demons when I was least prepared. Sounds ominous, I know, but it was really helpful when I did take cold showers. However, back then, I still had TikTok and other social media apps installed on my phone. One day when I was scrolling, I found a video supposedly debunking the benefits of taking cold showers. In short, it basically said that they were counterproductive and bad for you. Now that got to me real good, and I got really worried and therefore stopped taking cold showers. You know, I'd really like to make this a regular pattern for me rather than just a challenge. I'm just labeling it so for lack of a better word, given how long it's been since I've regularly showered with cold water. I think labeling it as a challenge also makes it easier for my mind to accept. It's like, oh, cold showers for only a month? Alright boss, got it. Poor bastard, he doesn't know what he got himself into. Anyways, the second challenge I want to do is a little more challenging, no pun intended. No weightlifting for a whole month. Now that sounds a lot harder than I have in mind. It's not that I'm gonna stop working out entirely, as I have calisthenics equipment at home and at the gym. However, I'm still deciding if I'm only allowed to use my body weight or if I can add weight with a weight belt. On one hand, there's a part of me that thinks adding weight constitutes as weightlifting and therefore should be banned from the challenge. On the other, adding weight is also something that a lot of calisthenics athletes do, so there's that. Ah well, May isn't here yet, and I'll decide what to do by then. Speaking of working out, I want to talk more about the week of light training I'm doing. I may not be in school, but my little sister is, which means that the family therefore has plans on our break from school. Pretty sure it's spring break at the time of recording. So we're currently in North Carolina, a pretty noticeable change from Maryland in terms of weather and people. My mom says that the warm weather mellows people out, and seeing as how it's the same in Southern California, she might have a point. Taking a week off aside, I personally don't want to pay extra for a week pass or several day passes at a gym anyways. So I brought with me wooden parallettes, calisthenic bars that are low to the ground and allow me to do stuff like frog pose and L-sits much easier. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, Dr. Google can help you. There's also a pretty cool calisthenics park that's a 5-minute walk from the place I'm staying at, which allows me to do stuff like pull-ups, tucked front levers, and dips. Oh yeah, it also allows me to do muscle-ups, something that I was only able to do recently. If Editor Me is up to the task, then the YouTube version might have a video of my first ever recorded muscle-up. It took me a year to do, actually. I think I had the strength all this time, I just needed a push in the right direction. On the 16th of April, I was taking a walk with my mom outside and we found a park nearby. I went to the monkey bars and went for a pull-up. However, something in me felt different, and I just did a muscle-up as if I've done them before. I was basically like, f it, and went for it without preparation. Kind of crazy, really. I think that my issue came from overthinking. I think I over-prepared for previous muscle-up attempts, when in reality, I just needed to be casual about the whole thing. I think that's a pretty good tip for people trying to do muscle-up. It does indeed require strength and technique, but it also requires a certain state of mind. During my previous attempts, I put extra coffee in my drink, mentally prepared myself for a few minutes, and took some more time turning on some gym bangers. However, on that day in the park, I just winged it and casually did a muscle-up with very little prep. So I think that a pretty key part of that was just, doing it. Not focusing on the preparation, but just going for it. The preparation takes your mind off of your objective, I think, and therefore takes energy from you as well. Our minds tend to overthink, and overcoming that might just be the thing that's preventing you from achieving what you want to achieve. Take that as you will. Thanks for listening all the way through. It means a lot. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Please like, subscribe, comment, whatever to boost engagement, as it really helps the show. In the next episode, I'll be pitting real science versus bro science with personal tests. For real this time. This is Arthur, signing off.